welcome to a new season of the Cade Friends podcast. I am joined with my guest this week, Mr. Alex Clair.
Hello, everyone. The co-host of the show. Yes. And we really doubled down on the co-host part for me this season.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think so. It's important to know this is our first episode back. It's going to be a shorter episode. This is Alex Ketchup time, which is a bedrock of this show. This season, and we're also going to announce the lineup for this show because I think it's important to note we have them all. We have them all lined up, and so they'll be releasing every other week for this summer and kind of going into early fall. But yeah, they'll be. It's an exciting season. It is a really exciting season.
And then it will end, just as a note, with the holiday special. So there will be a few months gap there, I believe.
Yes.
And
that'll be the end. I mean, this will have the main portion. So anyone who's not following my other show, Double Feature Movie Club, the idea is to kind of do these different blocks where they switch on. So they're in different spots. So yeah. But there will be, of course, we plan on doing another holiday special since that did so well last year.
Yeah.
So if you haven't checked that out, that was our last episode, and you should definitely check it out. We had a bunch of guests on, and it was really fun.
It's really fun just rotating people in and out, and you get to know, just a quick get to know people. And, we kind of referenced bits from the previous year, but we also got new people which let us do new bits, which was fun, So, make sure you watch that. Stay tuned for that after the last of the main season ends. Just keep an eye out for that one.
No, yeah. I mean, that's a fun episode. And yeah. This one, we will, like I said, we will announce shortly. Be ready to know who's all going to be on this season. It's different. I guess we could kind of talk about the idea of what we want this season to be. But I guess first we should catch up with you, Alex.
Yeah. So last time I was here, I believe I was working at what was called the Cedar Point Sports Center. I was a marketing intern then. I don't know how openly, I don't remember how openly I talked about it last year. But I was a marketing intern with the Cedar Point Sports Center. I really enjoyed it, actually. It was, I don't get to be too creative in my normal life. And so this let me, it forced me out of my normal routine. So I had to make videos. I took photos and videos of it was primarily volleyball was most of my internship. But now I'm working as of right now, I'm working at Arby's, at least as of
right now,
as everyone knows, we film this just a little ahead of time.
Yeah.
But as of recording this, I work at Arby's. I used to work there.
You can say you're going to school. I don't know if
I'm also going to school. Yeah. So I'm full-time student, part-time Arby's. I used to work there. I worked there my junior and senior year of high school, and I always enjoyed it. You may see some Arby's later on in the season. I'm a big fan of Arby's. They have the meats, and you know what? I'm a fan. So that's kind of the catch up for me. I'm still in Ohio. So,
dating Lexi.
Yep. I was about to say still dating Lexi. Lexi, you saw last year we ended, other than the holiday special, ended with Lexi, and Lexi, you'll see Lexi appear a couple times. So we're still dating, going pretty well, still in Ohio. And, we made the drive down together.
You enjoying Ohio still?
I do. I actually, I really do. It's kind of become like a second home. I mean, I guess it is our home. I still really miss Oklahoma though. Every time I come back, I'm like, there's something about Oklahoma that I really enjoy. But it's also nice being in Ohio. Cause I definitely feel like when it comes to voting, my vote, I actually feel like it can do something. And so that's really cool. Just kind of being in this different environment, as opposed to Oklahoma. But I still try to follow Oklahoma, watch what's going on, but I'm also very invested in Ohio. And, I've lived there for, since 2020, 2021.
And if you are interested, I mean, you're talking about politics. There'll be a lot of Oklahoma politics on this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We have several native voices. or voices who speak alongside Native people,
Educators,
several educators, and spoiler alert, people within those communities, educators or the Native communities, aren't huge fans of certain people within the state government
and their policies,
which isn't,
we'll let them speak.
Yeah, we'll let them speak. It's hard to avoid those considering everything that happens. So whether you agree with it or not, you will hear a lot of people from Native communities and educators. So do with that information what you will. But, I think they're very fascinating no matter which side you see on. It's very interesting hearing these people talk and hearing their experiences and it's really, we have some beautiful pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. So are we ready to move into what we...
Yeah, unless, is there any clarification?
No, I think that's very clear. I think, that's, like I said before, it's a big part of our show, early on.
I'm in about Friends. Me.
Yeah, so I'm talking about
okay.
Early on in our show, that was what the podcast almost was. The first episode was getting to know you. And then I think the third and fourth were what we called our pandemic episodes because it was during that time and we were getting to know you. And then the fifth is like just you. So like the very beginning of Cade Friends was a lot about just sort of how much your path changed and everything during that time. And then we've done season finales and different things. And now I think it's great to always hear what's going on with you because you're always doing something interesting and new and in a different part of wherever. And
I haven't been too consistent. I think maybe I did, Cedar Point, Ohio, but living in different places in Ohio. But the past since 2022, I think, fairly consistent, but, next time we record, depending on which way life goes, and if I can, kind of do online schooling and stuff, I might move back to Oklahoma if I can, manage like the online portions and do all this stuff online, because it is cheaper down here. Not a ton. Prices are very similar in Ohio and down here, but down here is still going to be cheaper, but also wages are a little bit lower than what I'm getting up there. So, a bit of a catch-22. I have very good internet where I live. And my mom has not great internet. So that's something we learned, going home, and we brought like this stuff with us to, kind of, play games and stuff. And, thank you, Cade. For those of you,
there's a zipper on the side. I just wanted to move it.
He fixed the pillow. Long story short, I don't know. I like Oklahoma. I like Ohio, and I can't wait to do this next time because next time, has a very good chance of just being like completely different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. And so I think we can so we didn't do our season finale like we did last year where we kind of look back on the episodes of season 2. I guess we can kind of look back on season 2 a little bit here. Season 2 was, so this was last year's episodes and everything. There was a lot of we tried to do a lot of different things with this season. We had guests, we had a lot of our friends, returning friends. We had a lot of returning people, and we were kind of trying to push the podcast in interesting ways. I think the idea for season 2 was that we're going to do
less bits.
We did less bits. That was the idea. We obviously we did all of our little nickies that we had from the first season. The first season was a lot of bits and a lot of kind of was the experiment was making it towards each friend and everything, and they had to be friends and everything. And then season 2 was sort of taking that, inviting more people on that we hadn't before, and then kind of taking what worked in the first season, what we liked, and I think kind of making it larger in interesting ways. So,
and some small experiments, with Lee's, doing more of a long form, just like almost documentary, let's get to know the life of this person.
Yes.
And I definitely think that kind of paved the way for this season.
Yes. There were different ones of like a Lee and Autumn, these ones that were very much, and those were kind of early on in the thing of like these people, we learned a lot that's like, oh, this is a type of episode that we do. Like, I think that's what's great about this podcast is like each episode's kind of different from each other. There's your classic Cade Friends episodes, which are, I think, more comedy based and looser and everything. And then there's ones that are the more interview focused ones that we have a guest in, and we're talking about their life and what, makes them tick and everything. And there's less bits or whatever, and they're more interview styling. And that sort of came from season 2 because that wasn't in season 1. So you have like some of them like the lead that we kind of looked at and we were like, oh, I think we really excelled in that one. And that was a standout episode that was different and it felt really good. One of the other ones that stood out to me as one that we carried on, and it was we both talked about it of like, oh, that was something very interesting, was the Chrim episode from season 2, where we left the podcast area and we went to go get dots. It was kind of like a callback to the first season's Halloween episode with Chrim, where he said he didn't like dots. And then we went out, got it. It was part of the podcast. And so that was something also is like, I want to kind of get out of the studio for some episodes and do some things. And so that was the idea. It's like, I really want for season 3 to really highlight this variety.
Mm-hmm. And I took a huge liking to the Lee type of episodes, and you took a huge liking to the Chrim type of episode. And so we were able to kind of, really look into that. And, I think it speaks to kind of like what we both really like is just our preferences in the stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm looking through here. So we had, so we had where we caught up with you, like we're doing now. We had Autumn. Autumn was a really good person, and I think that was a one-on-one. We're not doing another one-on-one in this new season. I really liked having you there, and I wish you could have been there. And I think Autumn and I, what I learned from Autumn, so I think that was the first time that I got to sort of speak from my native heritage and everything, and kind of speak to another native person. And that was one that's like, we need more of that. And that very much is the case in this new season. And
something to note is that as the years have gone by, like, and just in my knowing you were very much like, I'm going to exaggerate a bit here, but it was like, you're Cherokee and you're just like, yeah, I'm Cherokee. And as the years have gone by, you've embraced more being like, I am Cherokee, and you've bought artwork, and you're really getting more into the scene of Native people and Native voices. And you're really becoming more of a voice and supporting Native voices. And it's been really interesting to kind of see that of just my personal seeing you of just going like, yeah, I'm Cherokee. And you were just like, I'm Cherokee. And now it's like, no, I am Cherokee. And that's like a part of me. And so that's been a really, I think it's been kind of a beautiful transition for you. And now we're at this point where, you're focusing on that.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of something that, like, it was difficult because, like, I can be Cherokee with other Cherokee people, and it was always, like, an odd thing of, like, how to be that with, white people or whatever. Like, am I like pushing that on them? I kind of liked them not knowing that, so I could just be, just Cade. When you're so I can just be Cade. And so like, they're not, cause you don't some sort of, person that's like has to speak on larger issues or that they walk on eggshells when they're around you. And so that was always the case. And so as it's gone on, it's like, no, I mean, I have this platform here for whatever reason, that I get to do this. And now I've become closer friends with a lot of people that are doing really interesting things in the space. And one thing we didn't do this year, we weren't able to do, is get some artists in. But that's one thing I want to do in future seasons, is get some of the native artists that I've gotten really close to. But we got a lot of other people I think
just different art,
different. Yeah. I mean, we'll explain who those people are in a moment. But yeah, I think that's one of the things I learned from Autumn is like, I don't know, it was kind of nervous of just like, I've, have it in my bio and I talk about it, of course, when, in personal life and everything. And it was just like, but now it's very publicly sort of making that declaration. Cause you worry that some people will be like, you're not Cherokee or whatever, but it's like, I work for my tribe. I'm trying to, push forward our culture and history in different ways that, but people have different opinions no matter what. And I am a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. It's not like I'm just saying I have Cherokee bloodline or whatever. So that's that. And then we had Lee. We had the we already talked about why that changed. We had Jennifer and Diane, which Diane, big part of Double Feature Movie Club and everything, and we'll continue doing everything with. I love Diane and everything. So we also had an episode with her. We had an episode with Joseph and Hannah. They'll come back around. Can't get rid of them. We had a Joseph-centric episode. We talked about the Chrim episode. Kenna and Andrew, they were on our holiday special. They'll always be friends of the show and everything. Harrison also on the holiday episode. There's people that will be kind of around for the friend portions, and they'll be part of that circulating group. Andrew, and then Lexi, of course, which Lexi will be featured in a few of these episodes too. Going forward, spoiler alert. Spoiled that one, I guess. But I mean, I think we leaned heavily into my personal friend group for this one, especially toward the second half of that last season. And I think we can move into season 3, what we're doing here. So
a lot of people, I am in Ohio. Cade is very much in the Tulsa scene, and he's, he's part of the Tulsa scene, but he might not be as part of it as others, but you're part of the more so than me for sure.
Yeah.
And if you're not, as part of it, you're at least aware of the Tulsa scene, and you stay updated on what's going on in the Tulsa scene. Meanwhile, I'm up in Ohio, and I don't know a single thing that's going down in the Tulsa scene.
And I think a lot of this, what worked is I knew of these people or knew of different people's things, and then you often had a outsider's perspective with some things, and I think that helped sort of get them perspective of you to ask questions that they weren't thinking about, or kind of so it would be for everybody.
They might say that they're doing this and this at this place, and I'm like, well, hang on, what is that and where is that? Because so I'm almost like this voice for the listeners who aren't familiar with this area or these people. Not
everyone is from, nor even we have listeners that aren't from the area. So yes, I think that's important to keep in mind.
And even people who are from the area, they just might not be part in these scenes. Yeah. And so, I did learn a lot of things, and, I think it works really well. Cade having this knowledge, and then, Cade asks the starting questions, and I'm like, okay, well, what about this? And I think it works really well. And so, I would try to, just kind of have a basic understanding of the person, but, I didn't really want to learn a ton about the people before going in, because I wanted to, I want to learn about the person just like you guys are in the moment.
Yes. And so we decided to do with this new season of Cade Friends is kind of take what we liked and kind of evolve it in different ways. So we had a lot more guests on, a lot more people that we weren't, I wouldn't say we're friends with directly. We're not, we're either acquaintances or some people that I really haven't had any conversations with before, but I like their work and looked up to them in some sort of way. So there were guests there. That was a section of it. And then of course we had some of our old returning people that came back in different ways.
I can't wait for these people.
Yeah. So let's announce our guests. Okay. Let's announce our guests. So we're here in this episode with Alex Clair.
Next up, we have Mr. Evan Hughes of Tulsa.
Yeah, he's a comedian, well-known Tulsa legend. That episode's really a great episode, and I'm excited to kind of start out with that after this one. And I can't wait for you all to see that one.
We love comedy, and he's a comedian, and it worked out really well.
Yes, it's a really good just interview, and I really like that. So look forward to that. We really probe into comedy and the styling of that, and
especially because he's been doing it for many years now.
Yes. Next, we have Dr. Hugh Foley from RSU. He teaches cinema, Native American studies. He is one founding board member of the Oklahoma Music Hall of Fame. I love that conversation.
The man's voice was made for radio.
Yes. Yes, he has a whole career in broadcasting. And we go through his whole sort of career and catalog, and he's just mesmerizing to listen to. So,
and he's the first person, and he's the reason that I have, when we say native voices, he's not native, but he's a very big voice for natives. But he also makes it very clear that he's not speaking for the natives. He just wants to be this outlet. And so it's a very beautiful piece, and really shows what, even as someone not part of a certain community, you can still, speak up for them and make sure that that they're getting the justice that they should get.
Yeah. And his son's native.
Yes.
He talked about that. Next, we have.
This is me. This is my time because you just. Next up.
Yes. Who's next in our?
We have Friends and Miss Hannah Gray.
Yes, Hannah. So, like I said, there'll be Friends mixed into this.
Hannah has been in every season.
Hannah has been in every season. Yes.
No, she hasn't had her own personal episode, but she
did the first season.
Not last season. Yeah. Not last season.
And her and Joseph they shared that season last season. They shared that episode, if that makes sense, which is one of my favorite ones of season 2. It was kind of weird and odd, and is certainly it pushed. Like that was another one that I learned from, was that pushed it. And then the one this season is, it's great to have you. I think that was the first time you and Hannah's ever been on a podcast together.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Is that it? Wow. It's weird because like Hannah and I are friends and we see each other often and we did stuff together, but it just like, I guess never.
Yeah. And it's just was just an odd thing that we never quite realized. It's like, oh yeah. So we've done, Alex has been in a bunch and then Hannah's been in a bunch, but they've never been together, which was kind of an odd little thing to realize. Next in our lineup, we have Russell Suneagle. He's a podcaster from here in Oklahoma, and he does the Okie podcast, the Spirit Talkers podcast. I have appeared on Okie podcast with him, and he's a great host, and he's a really great guest too. We had a really kind of chill conversation about different things. We talked about the paranormal. Spirit Talkers in particular is very popular on TikTok with their paranormal investigations and talks about the encounters with paranormal. And so that was a really fun one. I don't want to spoil anything. That's a really good episode, but and had some cool moments in it. And
our first native, other than Autumn, our first native native friend, I guess you could say, of the podcast.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah. No, that's It was good. It was a good conversation.
Next up is going to be Dr. Holly Cruz, but don't call her Dr. Cruz because she's Holly.
Yes.
Outside of school.
I guess other people should call her that. I think just because we were her students. Like when we were students, we had to call her Dr. Cruz.
Yeah, so Dr. Cruz in school, but Holly outside of it.
Yes.
Unless you're her student.
Mm-hmm. We talk about that. We talk about different her interests, which includes new wave music. So there was talk about that because there's crossover with me. We'd also talked a lot about dog shows and the fact that she shows dogs. And so there was a lot of interesting conversations about just various forms of communications, pneumatic tubes, dog shows. We kind of fell into a few rabbit holes with her. And that was just a fun conversation. And I love catching up with her. She has such a great personality.
She is definitely probably one of the most unique people that we can have on the show. Yes. Not to say no one else is unique, but you'll see her episode and I think you'll understand really what we mean by that.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Next, is it me?
It is you.
Okay. Next is Adrian, our friend Adrian, who had been all the way back on season 1, but wasn't in season 2. This is a bizarre episode.
He's not good enough to be on every season, we said.
I like this episode a lot. Because it's so out there. It was my most conceptual. Whenever we taking the Chrim's idea of like us being out on the road and going get dots for just a little bit and blowing it up to 10 on this one. And I was like, if we're going to do this with we're going to do this with Adrian because we already had this bit, which was that he hates Arby's from the first season. And I'm not going to spoil anything that happens with this thing, but it is
whatever you're expecting. It's far worse.
It's far worse. It is. We put it kind of near the middle to the second half of the thing because it is our. I think it would go down as one of our most bizarre episodes that we've done. We're not in studio, so is all we'll say with that.
And we're not in studio for a couple of these.
Yes.
But this is really not.
Yes. This is really not.
And also, this may or may not have a special fourth person as well.
I guess we could say that. Lexi's in that one.
Lexi is also in that. Yes. Lexi is a special guest who pips in a few times, and I think Lexi adds that extra bit, and so it is.
We were all very close that episode, in many ways.
Yeah. Next up is Tulsa comedian Kels Cooper. Another native voice. She's a Tulsa comedian. She's only been doing comedy a few years now, but she has a long history of academia, sorry. And then also with production. And we get to know a little bit about her, her past careers and how she kind of got into comedy. And we
have a lot of bits along the way.
A lot of bits with hers. Hers is definitely a half. Hers is a half and half.
Yeah.
And I think hers really, I think we learned a lot with hers on how maybe we want to go on in the future of how to combine comedy with getting to know somebody. And so
she was a great guest. I think like in many respects, it's late in the show but everything, but that's one of, I think it just gelled really well with we were able to do a lot of different, like you said, it's almost the perfect blend of what is a classic Cade Friends with a guest episode. And it is a really good, really, 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 really good episode. And I liked her a lot. And I know her a little bit more than some of our other just kind of random guests. So that's why I think it worked and everything.
Keep an eye out for the next season. We might try to blend more stuff using that formula. But every episode we're learning a little more.
Next we have, I feel like you should do this one, but you want to do it?
Yeah. I'll just go and jump on this one. We're going to have Joseph and Lexi. Once again, we have, the Adrian one was a more Adrian focus. This one is going to be a Joseph and Lexi focus.
This is also bizarre.
It's a bizarre one.
It's an experimental one. Let's not say what we do there in that one.
Yeah, no, it's not normal.
It's not normal. It's another one that I don't want to give anything away with it. It is strange. And it's taking it's another one. I think it's
another experiment.
It's another experiment, and it's taking the sort of concept and twisting it. And that's one of the things, like I said before, I want to do a little bit more of. And this one's even taking the concept of the show and twisting it in a way.
And we also, on this one, we have two guests, in a way, with being Joseph and Lexi. And, Joseph, once again, great friend of the show. We couldn't have a season without him.
No.
And, sprinkle in a little bit of Lexi, and I think you have a cake.
Got yourself a cake. Joseph, I guess, will go down as, him and Hannah will go down as the only people that's been in every,
and myself,
every season. Well, yeah, the two of us. I think it's only fair that he does that. I mean, he's appeared in multiple episodes of previous seasons too. So yeah. I'll do the next one then. Next we'll have Tip Crowley, a professor of ours at RSU as well. So we had a lot of professors on and everything. I worked under him at RSU Radio. So we talk a lot about the importance of college radio, of just independent music in general. It's an interesting conversation. It's another one that we're kind of out of the studio and we're there at RSU Radio. And it's a great conversation. We've wanted to have Tip on for some time as well. So this was an interesting one. We talked about his band. It was interesting, but we really focused in on talking about the importance, I think, of independent radio and in particular college radio and music in general. We talk a lot about music. So it's an interesting one.
And lastly, we're going to have a close friend and someone we had wanted on since season 1.
It's a shame that we didn't, that we didn't have her on earlier.
Yeah. Jordan Ballard, author Jordan Ballard. We get into, we learn about, the method for writing books, and we really,
it's our most heartfelt episodes of this season and probably ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could another one become more heartfelt? Mm-hmm. It's possible, but it's going to take a lot. And so this is definitely our most heartfelt one, but it's also for the people who like books, who like reading, really goes into that one. I mean, she's an author, so obviously we weren't going to not talk about like her books and how she writes.
Writing. Yeah, we talked a lot about writing.
And Cade, as a writer, a filmmaker writer, it's a very interesting episode. And, I'm not a writer, but it was interesting kind of sitting there and listening of just like, this is what they kind of go through. And, I love to read. And so it's a very beautiful episode. And then it does get heartfelt there at the end. And Jordan is just, she's such a good speaker. She's very well spoken, and she's a treat to listen to.
Yeah. No, I really like that episode. And that's kind of why we're ending the season on that one. We'll come back for later, but that's the sort of big block that we'll have there. And that was one that I think really kind of took you through. It's really funny. It has really funny moments. It has a lot of, I think people are going to enjoy it from just kind of seeing like old friends sort of catch up of like, we talk about college and different things. I mean, it's really fun on that level and kind of nostalgic. I think people will be able to connect with that. It has the whole writing aspect to it, and then it has the personal side that I don't want to, we'll let that one speak for itself in that way. But it's a really moving episode, and I really like that one a lot. So you should definitely look forward to it.
I think it's going to be a beautiful season, and we have some funny bits along the way.
Yes, I think it's something to look forward to and everything. And I kind of like that we did them all. We've had them all, like it is its full thought. And now we get to be here and we get to talk about it. We've experienced it. It was a lot to do all of these.
And, I guess secrets out, we did film all of these ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's not something we reference throughout the show. But now you know.
Now you know. And they'll be coming out even if the world's on fire. They'll still be coming out.
Every other week.
Every other week. Yeah, check it out every other week. If this is your first time ever listening to Cade Friends, or this season's your first time, what we try to this is you chose a great season. I think it's we've done less bits in this. Less segments, I guess we should say. We did less segments. We still had lots and lots of bits, but we didn't do any formalized segments ever. And I think that this we'll see how it all turns out and everything, but I think this might be my favorite season that we've done because of just how much of a variety it is. And that's what I want to give people, this different variety, tailor the show to the guest, kind of explore either what their interests are and kind of do different things. I want the audience to kind of never know what this podcast is exactly going to be, but they're going to have a fun time with it, or they're going to be moved in some sort of way. I think this is the most variety season that we have, but it's still very, it's experimental and interesting. I really like this season a lot. Well, is there anything else you want to say, Alex?
No, that's all. I just want to say thank you all. And, I hope you enjoy.
And do you have any advice for people that want to be a co-host on a podcast?
If you want to be a co-host on a podcast, just ask follow-up questions. Really, I feel like that's what I do is Cade initiates it and I follow up. And I think it works really well.
Yeah. No. And do I have any advice for being a host? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah. Do you have any advice for being a host?
Yeah.
I feel like it's harder than it looks.
It is, and I don't know why you would know that, but it is pretty hard. It's fine. You feel a lot of responsibility of what is being talked about on your shoulders. You're like, oh God, is this? And having to prepare, you're like, okay, what's next? And
a lot of stress of is this really funny?
Yeah.
Are people going to enjoy this?
Yeah. And if I ever found myself on the other side of the thing, it's relaxing because you get to kind of play along with the people and everything. But no, it's you want to prepare a little bit, but you also want to just go with the flow. You don't ever want it to sort of seem like you never want to change the subject, because then it kind of would hurt a guest things like, wait, was that not good or whatever? You want to kind of evolve it and everything. So I think this season we really found a groove with that. And we
still definitely did some learning throughout. I think that's the one thing about this podcast though, is we're always going to learn a little bit, and we'll probably always just change a little bit, just to see, just to try things. Yeah,
we're evolving, we change, we experiment. That is a big part of the show. Is I never want it to be stale, and so who knows? At some point next season, after we've done all these and we've released all of them, and we've done the TikToks and all of that, it might be we need segments back. You know, I mean, it's possible I get to that where I want to do that. And create some more segments of different things.
This is a great way to get, Chrim involved as well with this music.
Yes. So yeah, we'll see. This is if you enjoy this season, let us know. Again, like and subscribe to the Cade Thomas YouTube channel. That if you want the video version, that's how you get this. Some of these I think will work better as video, and some of them work fine as audio and everything. You can also get the video version on Spotify as well if you want it that way too. In audio, wherever you get your podcasts at Cade and Friends.
And if you want to unlock top gold tier comedy before each and every episode, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Cade Thomas, where you can unlock extra jokes.
Yes, extra jokes that didn't make it in and everything. So, I mean, we reference it a lot this season, so be sure to do that and everything so you can understand whatever.
It's not like we push the Patreon on people. We may reference them, but
we may reference. I mean, that's important to note, Alex. We don't. If you don't want to pay for that, you still understand that the podcast is all still there and everything. Yeah. It's just an additional thing. And if you want to unlock jokes and unlock bits that and collect them if you want to, you can collect the bits if you want to, put them on a necklace and wear them around. And you can do that on patreon.com/Cade Thomas. Yeah. And that's a metaphor for any legal reasons. I'm not saying you can collect the bits and put them on a necklace in any way. That's not a tier on the on the Patreon.
But thank you, audience.
Thank you, audience. Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I mean, we got a lot of people who come from the TikToks and come from different things. And I appreciate anyone who listens to our show and enjoys it. I'm glad that you're here to watch this and enjoy it.
See you in 2 weeks.
See you in 2 weeks.